me? For real? Oh.
You can call from the Bahamas using Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards for much less.
Hey girl, are you ready?
You get free unlimited on-island calls, voicemail, and no internet service or ID is required.
Hello?
Rev Boy's prepaid home phone service and prepaid chat cards.
Hey, llama mi mamá. ¿Está bien?
Staying in touch never sounded so good.
Good evening, Bahamas. You're tuned in to MB12. Coming up tonight in news, outraged St. John's College parents seek legal advice. Drama unfolds outside BTC's headquarters, plus the opposition leader hits out at government on crime. We've got those stories and so much more. I'm Monique Toot, and MB12 starts now. Top of news tonight, the Anglican Central Education Authority's controversial decision to cancel the prom and graduation ceremony of the 2013 graduating class of St. John's College has prompted angry parents to seek legal action. Parents say they will now take their fight to court. Royston Jones reports.
An attorney representing dozens of parents of students of St. John's College plans to file legal action as early as this week against the school if the Anglican Central Education Authority does not reverse its decision to cancel the upcoming graduation and prom.
Because there was a contract signed for each student, the school should be in a position to show where each student would not have fulfilled the requirements for the graduation ceremony. The contract speaks specifically to a graduation ceremony, not just a graduation, but a graduation ceremony. And so to collectively say that all of the students cannot graduate cannot participate in a graduation ceremony, or that they won't have a graduation ceremony, doesn't really, if I can say, relate to the fact that there were individual contracts.
She was referring to the school code of conduct contract students of the graduating class signed. While Galanis did not reveal many details about her legal strategy, she believes the school board has no legal basis to deny students the right to walk across a stage and collect their diplomas in front of friends and family. On Friday, Bishop Leish Boyd announced to parents and students that the graduation and prom for the 2013 class was canceled for what the ACEA called gross insubordination and deceit. School officials are reportedly offended by a YouTube video uploaded that showed students dancing during a recent school parade. Parents each paid a non-refundable $300 fee for the graduation package. According to Galanis, who met with parents and students today, the graduation ceremony is the primary concern.
The general feedback from most of the parents appears to be the graduation. They would also like to have the prom. But the graduation is something that the parents feel very strongly about, quite understandably. You have some parents saying that they would have had relatives travel from other jurisdictions just for the graduation. There are the parents who are saying that they were paying school fees for a very long time. And to take that moment from the students and the parents, we think it's unreasonable. It's a travesty.
While our cameras were not permitted in the meeting held at a local restaurant, several parents said they have paid tuition fees to St. John's for years and are hurt over the impromptu decision. Other parents are worried about the negative stigma that will be attached to the students because of the statements the ACEA made about its reasons for canceling the events. While most parents who were in attendance at that meeting today were reluctant to speak to MB12, Wesley Ferguson, a single father of four whose youngest son is a part of the 2013 graduation class, said the ordeal which has left students without the prospect of a graduation or prom has left him heartbroken.
I did not have the luxury of attending a private school as a child growing up. And for somebody to just rob them of that opportunity to walk the aisles and to be proud of themselves for the hard work that they have done, I find that to be harder than if somebody were to stick a gun in my face and take my earnings. Because these kids studied long and hard. My son sometimes is up until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning studying for BGCSE, BJC's final exams just to make honor roll or to make his dad proud.
Ferguson's youngest son, Raymond, is 17. He also shared his views of the YouTube video the ACEA has admonished, calling ring play and gyrating a part of Bahamian culture.
And it didn't make me a criminal. It didn't degrade anybody. We used to play ring play all the time. Ripe tomato, green peas, the brown girl in the ring. We used to play those things in school, and kids gyrated and they shake in front of boys in school as a young kid growing up. And I never saw anything wrong with it. It didn't make me any much of a waste of person. I could have lived in West Ridge. I could have moved the Eastern Road or wherever it is, but I chose to make the sacrifice and pay St. John's College for 4 children at once, every term until the end.
While Galanis plans to file legal action this week in the Supreme Court, she hopes the ACEA will change its position. The graduation ceremony is scheduled for Tuesday morning. Reporting for NB12, I'm Royston Jones.
Opposition leader Dr. Hubert Minnis made his contribution to the budget debate today. Dr. Minnis insisted the budget fails to address 2 key priorities, reducing crime and growing our economy. Jasmine Bonamy reports.
While speaking in the House of Assembly this morning, Dr. Minnis used 3 words to describe the Christie administration's 2013-2014 budget, calling it visionless, vacant, and void. On the issue of crime, Minnis took the government to task over politicizing the crime issue when it was in opposition. He noted that in the run-up to the election, the Progressive Liberal Party erected posters highlighting the number of murders that were recorded under the Ingram administration.
Now the Deputy Prime Minister told members of the media that crime might be a complex issue, but a government with the right priorities and the right commitment could solve the crime problem. What are your priorities? Wake up, man. Crime is a priority.
The opposition leader also taking issue with repeated claims from the Prime Minister and others that crime is trending down. Minnis noted on the FNM's watch 368 murders occurred in 48 months. On the PLP's watch, 121 murders occurred in 13 months, said Minnis, who called on Bahamians to do the math.
On the 7th of May, 2012, the murder count stood at 45. 18 days later, the murder count had risen by 11 to 56. On the 29th of May, 2013, the day on which this year's budget communication was delivered this year, the murder count stood at 49 as compared to 48 on the same day of 2011. Not only, Mr. Speaker, have there been robberies on their watch, but in the center, remember he lamented about one case that occurred, but in the center of our capital, but within the space of less than a month, within the space of less than a month.
Minnis called on Christie to give an account of the crime-fighting initiatives implemented since his administration took office, including urban renewal and Operation Ceasefire.
In his budget communication, he told us that crime generally is trending downward. Where does he live? Where does he live? Of course, he lives in his ivory tower. He's guarded by police. He has outriders coming out. He's protected by police. He's not cognizant of what's happening. Where were the promised saturation patrols? Ceasefire. But I forgot. It's not ceasefire, it's more fire. More fire.
As it relates to the economy, Minnis charged that the Christie administration has driven the country's economy into the ground in just over a year by trying to fulfill some of what he termed outlandish promises the Progressive Liberal Party made during the campaign trail. Minnis noted that the PLP borrowed in excess of $1 billion. Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
From the courts, an 18-year-old Johnson Alley man has been charged with a recent murder on Wolf Road. Police say Sidney Brian Hart was stabbed to death on the morning of Sunday, June 9th. His body was discovered with multiple stab wounds west of Jerome Avenue shortly before 1 a.m. Shadrach Gibson was arraigned in connection with Hart's murder this afternoon. He was not required to enter a plea to that charge. Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez informed Gibson that the magistrate's court cannot grant him bail. However, he can apply to the Supreme Court. A voluntary bill of indictment will be served on September 2nd, and the matter will go straight to the Supreme Court. The teen was also charged today with damaging a $2,000 electronic monitoring device, the property of Electronic Monitoring Center, on March 23rd. Gibson entered a guilty plea and will be sentenced for the causing damage charge tomorrow. Bahamas Christian Council President Reverend Dr. Ranford Patterson has declared that the Bahamas has approached crisis mode as it relates to crime. Patterson said anyone who does not acknowledge this is blind. He's also calling for the political blame game to end, saying it's a nationwide issue that must take a holistic approach.
The entire country, all of our civic, all of our churches, all of our government agencies, the opposition, everyone, I believe must take responsibility for where we are. We must do our own little things. And I believe if all of us are doing our part, I think we can really put a dent in the crime situation in our country.
The Christian Council held a national prayer gathering on Thursday at Evangelistic Temple. Patterson says it has become increasingly apparent that no one appears to have the solution to crime. Patterson, who was himself a victim of an armed robbery recently, said no one is exempt from crime, so no one should ignore the issue.
It's not going to happen with the police alone. It's not going to happen with the government alone. It's not going to happen with the church alone. It's not going to happen with the family. All of us got to come and be a part of this process. Family has failed. I believe the church has failed. I believe the government has failed. Governments have failed. I just believe that we have failed as a people in raising the generation that we now have.
Just recently, police reported that crime is on the decrease. Crime statistics released in April for the period January 1st to April 14th indicated that crime was down 13% over that period last year. And a little later, we'll tell you how crime is impacting the security business. Coming up after the break, what has these subcontracted workers ticked off?